So let me show you the database accounts payable. AP is not here, right? So what I can do is I can get this AP database script. So here it goes, execute. So successfully the script ran. So we will have accounts payable database here. Under this accounts payable database, there are tables, and we can use these tables to work. Okay, I'm going to choose vendors, invoices, and invoice line items. You might remember these tables. So it goes like this: vendors, and from vendors it goes to invoices. From invoices it goes to invoice line items. So these are the tables that we are going to work with today. So if you want to see, I can show you. I can show you the data table. Already accounts payable is going to be used. It is already selected. So if you want to see data, select all from vendors. Run this, all data are displayed. There are 122 rows available. And if you want to see invoices, select all from invoices. So these are the data from invoice table. All from invoice line items. These are the data from invoice line items. So if you see vendors table, it starts with vendor ID starts with 1. It goes up to 123. Okay, there are 122 rows. It goes up to 123. And if you see invoices table, you will see vendor ID is not in an ascending order. Order by vendor ID ASC. Okay, so the first vendor is 34, number 34. So up to vendor number 34, there will not be any records available in the invoices table when you join it. Fine. Let me go to our Visual Studio. Here I have created a new project. You can see the form is available. So if you want to connect to a database, you have to use these data sources. Okay, data sources window. It is by default. It is available on the left side. If you don't see that, what you can do is you can go to View menu, and then Other Windows and Data Sources. So data sources available. So using this data sources window, you can connect to a database. So we have a database somewhere. We have database somewhere, database file. We have the database management system here, DBMS. We have our application here. So we will use a driver. In a sense, it's a .NET class to connect to this database management system, and then connect to this database file. Then we will fetch data and then display it. And if you want to modify, do the modification and write it back to the database, right? So first, to work with databases, you have to make the connection. So I'm going to use add new data source link. You will receive a data source configuration wizard. If you click on this plus sign with the database icon, the same appears here. So database is selected by default. Click next. Azan is set, right? Vaanga poriyala? Vaanga solludane? We will continue in 2 minutes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, let's resume. I'm audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So in the database configuration, let me do it again. I'm clicking on this add new data source, and you will see the data source configuration wizard appearing. So database is selected by default. Keep it as it is. Click next. It is asking where you are going to have the data. By default, the only option available for this is a data set. So click next. It will ask for the connection. So connection is in a sense which database management system we are going to connect, and the database name as well. So here I'm going to click on new connection. It will display the database management system that is already been used here. If you want, it is showing us SQL client. In a sense, it is a SQL server. If you want to change it to other database management system like Access, you can choose Access. If you are going to work with Oracle like that, you can choose ODBC, Open Database Connectivity, for Oracle and other DBMSs. And SQL Server database file means if you are going to use SQL Server Express Edition, you can choose this. Here also Oracle database separately available. The same can be, you can use the same here as well. Okay. So we will accept the default. So SQL Server is selected, and when you click on this server name combo box, it will look for the servers, SQL Server instances available, and it will populate all the servers that are already installed. If it is not showing, in my case, it is not showing anything. So what I can do is I can type the server name. If you are going to connect to the server that is already installed in your PC, in the same computer system, what you can do is, it is called localhost. You can type dot. So if you type dot, automatically it assumes that we are going to use the server that is installed in this computer itself. If you click on the databases, it will display all the databases attached to this server, localhost server. Otherwise, what you can do is you can go to this SQL Server Management Studio where this database is found, and then copy its name. So to see the name, what we can do is we can disconnect and then connect. Here the server name is displayed. By click, copy, cancel this, and come back to our project, paste it. The same will be displayed. Okay. So I'm going to click on accounts payable. If you want to see whether the connection is successful, you can click on this test connection. Test connection will tell you whether the connection is successful. SQL Server is running, up and running. It will say the connection is succeeded. Okay. So click OK, and then click next. Okay. So it is showing the connection string. Okay, this connection string, in a sense, the text that is generated when you are creating a connection, the server name, the database file, and the password like that, username and password like that, it will save. So no need to do any changes. Just click next. Now it has established a connection to the database, and it has retrieved the names of tables that are already available. If there are any views or if there are any stored procedures and triggers there, they will also be listed here. And we have only tables. I'm going to choose vendors, invoices, and invoice line items. These are the tables that I'm going to work with. And also it is showing the data set. So data set, I already told that data set is a location in the memory. It is a temporary place in the memory where the data that is fetched from the database will be kept temporarily, right? So the database will be kept in the data set. So data set is the place where the data that are retrieved from the database will be kept. There may be one table or more than one table. All of them will be kept here. Another component found is table adapter. Table adapter. So table adapter is something that is used to get the data, okay, fetch the data from the database. So from the database, the table adapter will fetch the data, okay, and bring it here. And there may be another component. There may be another component, that is table adapter manager. Okay, table adapter manager. If you have accessed, retrieved the data from more than one table, those tables might be related. Okay, there may be a foreign key, primary key, foreign key relationship. So when you are working with this, when you update parent table, these updates should be reflected here. When you're going to delete a record or more than one record from records from this table, the connect relevant data from this child table also have to be deleted. So say for example, you are updating primary key value of 1000 to 10,000. So already the primary, the foreign key will be reading is 1000. So automatically when you update this, this also has to be updated as 10,000. This is update cascade update. Okay, it's called cascade update. So when you delete this record, automatically all records, relevant records here in this table have to be removed. So it will be removed by cascade delete. Okay. So these cascade update and delete will be handled by this table adapter manager. Okay. So these controls will be created. Another one is binding source. Binding source. So this component, this class, what it does is, in your form you will have controls. Okay, you will have controls like text boxes and combo box, grid control. Like that, you will have controls, and in a data set, the table will be there. So to connect these controls to the data set, this binding source will take care of those activities. Okay. Another control that is added, component that is added when you are creating this when you are establishing this connection and dragging and dropping the table on the form is a binding navigator. Okay. Binding navigator. So that takes care of these navigation and saving work as well. Okay. This will be like this, and that number plus sign and delete button and save button. Okay, save all button. So this moving, navigating through the records, moving to the first record, moving to the last record, moving to the previous record, moving to the next record, and adding a new record or deleting the record and saving the changes. All of them will be handled by this binding navigator. These are the controls that are added when you establish a connection. We will see this. Okay, so we will finish this. Excuse me. If everything goes fine, you will see these tables here. Okay, so here we have vendors table and invoice table and invoice line items table. Okay, you can even preview the data. You can preview the data available in each tables. Okay, it is showing the data is taken from the vendors table from our database. Okay, it has 12 columns and 122 rows. Here it is from invoices table. So this can be modified or viewed from this form. So if you want to display the data on a form, what you have to do is, in the data sources window, you have to choose the table that you would like to view. Okay, and there are two ways available to display the data. One is displaying them in a grid view. It's like an Excel worksheet. Okay, so you can choose which way you want to show this. It is showing a preview here. So data grid view would have been selected by default. You just click, drag and drop this on the form. Okay, So automatically you can see this control: data set, accounts payable, AP data set, accounts payable, binding source, table adapter, vendors table adapter, table adapter manager, and vendors binding navigator. So data set is the place where this data will be kept. Binding source is the component that attaches these controls to the database table, and vendors table adapter is the control that we use to connect to the table and get the data. Table adapter manager manages more than one table adapter. Binding navigator is this control. Okay, and if you run this, save the work and run this, you can see the data from vendors table. So here it will display the data. It's showing in a data grid view. So what we can do is we can close this and we can adjust this control to display, to view more. Okay, to view more. So you can see more data at a time. And if you adjust this, automatically this space is left blank. So what we can do is we can dock this, fill this. If you want to fill this, you can click on this smart tag here, found here, and there's a link, dock in parent container. In this case, parent container is the form. Dock this, automatically it is filled. It occupies the entire window form. Now it is showing. If you expand this, automatically it is also adjusting. Okay, so this is displaying the data in a grid view, right? So let's see how we can display data in a detailed view. So let me call this, I'm pressing F2, grid view vendors. Any doubts here? Please ask if you have any doubt. Any doubts?
No, sir.
So let me add another form, and let's call this details view vendors. Actually, it must be vendors detail view. Vendors detail view. So we have this form, same table. Now I'm going to select details. Okay, earlier it was grid view. Now I'm going to select details. Drag this and drop. Excuse me. I'm going to adjust this. Name will be lengthy. Address may be a little bigger. City is somewhere here. Zip code, phone number, contact number may be a little wider. Fine. Let me configure vendors details view. Okay. Save the work. Run the project. Here it will show the data in a single row at a time. You can see data single row at a time. Here we have a binding navigator. If you click on this, it goes to the first record. If you click on this, it goes to the last record, 123. Okay. If you want to see the previous record, click this. Next record, click this. If you want to add the new data, you can click on this plus mark. So it automatically creates a new row where we can add some data and click on save. Right? I'm going to cancel this. The save, but if you want to delete a record, you can click on this. Sometimes if you click on delete, it might show you an error. Okay. When you save, it will show you an error because it has a referential integrity, primary key and foreign key relationship. We will see how it looks here in the relationship window. we have our database, accounts payable. Here we have this button. So I'm going to go to the properties and you see insert and update specification, delete rule, no action, update rule, no action. So if you have already selected cascade, what it will do is when you delete the parent table, the records in the child table will also be deleted. Okay. No need to save. Close this. So it is better we do this in advance, okay? Because there are records and there are more than 2 tables. We have to make the all other relationship same like that, okay? So this is for deleting the record, and the same can be both details view and grid view can be displayed on the same table. To do that, I'm going back to its details view. Let me change its name, vendors, so that they will be uniform. Okay, so both can be displayed here. I'm going to expand this vendors, switch back to its data grid view and drag and drop. Okay. Make it like this. Fill this. Click on start. Excuse me. You can move. Okay. So same table is shown on both detailed and grid view controls. Okay. Any doubts? Any questions? Please ask any question if you have. Any questions? I am asking if there's any question. If there's question, please ask question. Otherwise, say no, no questions. Am I audible? Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Then why are you silent? If you have any doubts, please ask any doubt. Otherwise, say no, no doubts. Shall I continue?
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Then please be interactive. So let me share again. Switch off my video. So I'm going to get rid of this grid control. And now I'm going to show this vendors table and invoices table. So please, if you are showing your video, please be nicely dressed. Here we have invoices table, and I'm going to drag and drop this table. Okay, I'm going to drag and drop this table. Whenever I move this should move. This should be moving, right? Because here the record is 20, but still the active record is 1. Because the program doesn't know they are connected. So what I can do is, I'm going to delete this. I'm going to expand this. I'm going to expand this vendors table. Here you see invoices. It is like another control here, right? So I'm going to drag and drop this one. Save and run. Good, 34. Here you see, for record number 34, we have records. 35, no. Here you see. So whenever I move, it should be moving. So from vendor number 72, we have purchased. Data reproduction code, we have purchased. Okay. Whenever there is an invoice, it will display because this is parent and child control. Here you see from vendor number 95 we have made purchase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. They have made purchase. Okay, and also these invoices table will have data from invoice line items table. That also can be displayed. Let me expand this, and I'm going to make it a little smaller like this. Again, I'm going to expand this vendors table, invoices, and here found invoice line items. Binding source 1. Okay. Let's run this. It's not changing, right? Let's change its binding source. Invoice line items, it's fine now. Okay, you see, it is connected. So item number 93, 94. For each invoices, there are invoice line items. Okay. You see, for this invoice, there are more items. In this, for this invoice, there is only one item. This invoice only one item. For this invoice, there is one item. For this invoice, there are 4 items. It works like this. So here in this parent table, it goes here and then it is connected here. It is from vendors, goes invoices and line items. Okay, that's how it works. Any doubts? Questions, please ask. Otherwise, shall we move to the next item? Next, I would like to show you how we can use a list box to display the names or IDs, so that whenever we click on control, whenever we click on the item, we can find the corresponding record. So let me add a list box, normal list box. Expand this. Save and display. Nothing is displayed here in this list box. I'm going back, click on this smart tag, and I'm checking this use data bound items. Here it is showing 4 combo boxes. 2 are enough for this purpose. One is data source. Where are I going to get the data from? I'm going to say from vendors binding source. I'm going to display vendor names. Display members. It is showing all the fields that are available in this vendors table. Vendor name. Fine. Save the work and run. It is populating all the vendor names. You see. Whenever you select a vendor, automatically it is found. It finds the corresponding record here. In a real world, what we can do, what we do is, we cannot be searching for vendor name like this. You can't click and drag this scroll bar to find the record of the vendor. So what we can do is, you can have a text box over here, and whenever the user types the name of the vendor, automatically it should be filtering. Okay, so that can be done by the filter property of this binding source. Okay, it can be done by the filter property of this binding source. You might remember the like operator we used to see in our SQL code. Select all from vendors where vendor name like is and percentage sign. You see, so it will display all the name that starts with AS. If you have this percentage wildcard character, percentage symbol like this, it will display all the records that has AS, maybe from the beginning or at the end or in between. Okay, so same content, same pattern can be applied here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this, go to design view. Let's have it like this. I'm going to have a text box, and again I'm going to have a label. Okay, here I'm going to place it. So properties window, I'm going to set the name, vendor name filter text box, maybe more elaborative. So here I'm going to display enter vendor name. So when the user types the name, it should be filtering the records. If I type SA, it should be filtering all the records that has S and A. Okay. So for that, I'm going to double click on this text box. It will bring its text changed event. In this event, I'm going to say vendors binding source. Okay, vendors binding source. If it is a invoices table, it will be as invoices binding source. If it is customer table, it will be reading as customers binding source. Okay, vendors binding source dot filter. Filter equal. I'm going to say vendor name. Vendor name means one of the fields here. Vendor name is one of the columns. Okay, field here. Vendor name. Vendor name like. Okay, like percentage symbol. And I'm going to get this from the text box. I'm going to get this from the text box. So here you see apostrophe, the same apostrophe I'm going to have. Apostrophe. If I say AS, and I'm going to cut this. If I have a button, place this and run. It is applied, right? So AS, this is applied in a button. So for each time we cannot be doing like this. So if you want to see it is starting with AS, I'm getting this out, save the work, start this and click. So it is starting from AS. So we can't be doing that like this every time. What we can do is the same code can be put here in this text change event. I'm going to have this. Okay. Delete this. I'm going to double click. So here I'm going to paste. And if I type, you see, if I type, this works. This works, but whether it is AS or NA, it doesn't matter. It filters only AS. Why? In this text change event, I am not getting the contents from this text box. I'm just using this fixed, it is hard coded. So I have to capture the data that is entered in the text box. So what I can do is I can put the text box name. Text box name is vendor's name filter text box. I'm going to put this again here. So same percentage sign and like this dot text, right? However, this will not work. This will not work because it is the text box name is not captured because it is like a variable name now or some text. It's like a text string value, not a text box. So what we can do is we can add here and close this and append this like this. Here also put this sign. We will have this person set here. Vendor name like, and here get this output. Now we will save and run this. See, then we can click on this. See. Do you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Doubts? Next is finding. Next is find. This is filtering. Next is finding. So finding can be done using this primary key column. It is whenever you find, it automatically positions. Okay, it positions the record. So here the same binding source has a method that's called find. Okay, the find it has a find method. So here two things have to be seen: vendor's binding source. Binding source, but find. Find is one method. Okay, find is one method, and the other one is vendor's binding source dot position. So position is like index. Okay, the location. Actually, it's a location. So the find method will return you the location where it is there, and then we can assign it. Let's see how it will work. For this, I'm going to have the same two text boxes, one text box and a button. Here, let me call this as, I'm going to use the vendor ID. Yeah? Enter vendor ID because we can use it to. She's very tired of looking at the screen. Vendor ID find text box. MIT22033, your video was on. So here we have a find button. You can call it find. Okay. So the name of this is vendor ID find text box. Okay. So now what we are going to do is then declare a variable position. Okay, position. It's an integer value. It's going to return a position integer value, right? Position equal by vendor's binding source. Vendor's binding source dot find. This find method will return you a numeric value, location. Okay, location. So what we are going to find is vendor ID. I'm going to find vendor ID, and the data is going to come from the text box. Okay, So find vendor ID, find text box, not text. From there, the text is going to come, right? So then next is we have to set the position. So the same binding source has a position property, not position equal this position. So here it is kept small p, here it is capital P. Yeah? Otherwise, what we can do is we can rename it. We can rename it as position found. Okay, maybe like this we can have it. Position found. Let's try this. Let's say vendor ID is 7. Okay, number type 7. You see, record number 7. Vendor ID 7 is found. Vendor ID 110 is found. Vendor ID 1000 not found. So if it is not found, it goes to the first record. So what we have to do, we have to check using an if clause whether we have found or not. Okay. Now position found not equal to -1. So 0 means first record. First record, in a sense, position, first position. So positions. So here we have the table. Okay, vendor ID 1, 2, 3, 4, like this it goes. Okay, like this it goes. Last record in number. So 0 position 0 means first record. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3 location. Huh? And this is n-1. Okay, if there are 122 records, the last one will be 121. Okay, so we are going to check if -1 means no record found. Okay, no record found. So here, if it is not equal to -1, okay, if it is not equal to -1 means if it is found. Not equal to -1 means any one of these. Not equal to -1 means any one of these. If there is any one of these, go to this position. Otherwise, if it is -1, let's display a message box. Mbox, no such record found. You can say, okay, and no match. The title will be no match. Message box buttons. Error. Okay. And message box icon. Icon. Error or information. Information icon. Let's run this. 110 found is found here. 110. If I say 1000, earlier when I typed 1000, it was the first record. Now it says no record found. No record found. So that's how it works. Any questions?